I'm Hunter Moyer. I live at 61 Newberry. Oh, hey. Anybody hear me? All right, so now you can hear me. I moved to the township last year in June. I moved to the township because they had low taxes and lower utility costs. But now I see that was a mistake. My wife started a petition online to stop the sale of this Newberry Sewer Plant. We have over 300 signatures, not including the elderly or people who can't use the internet. And why didn't we pick a bigger place to have a town hall meeting other than the fire department? Could have used one of the schools to make sure everybody's voice was heard tonight. That's it.
I'm Merv Schaefer of 140 Champions Drive, and I had a request of the township to get the latest audited financial statements. They sent me to 2021. 2022, I guess, hasn't been audited. But in these financial statements, they show that the total charges for services was $2,747,693 for sewage. And to meet all expenses and the debt service, there was $711,508 left. That's 26% of the total bill. So they were saying that we're not building capital, we're building capital. We got $8 million in capital. We need $1.5 million for the next 10 years. Well, we got the first 8 years, and there's a lot of government agencies with rural utility services. I think in Pennsylvania, they got agencies you can borrow money from. The government agencies can. I don't know where these people get their capital. We have low chances. We get chances to borrow from other agencies. Now, when the letter that was written inviting us to this meeting, it said that one of the reasons that we're going to have this is for economies of scale. I mean, they're a lot bigger than we are, so that makes sense. But what I'm thinking of is, did we look at merging with any other sewer authorities to become bigger by going to another government agency, another sewer authority, another township, another municipality, and merging with them to get economies of scale? And
I can maybe address that question. So when we sent out the RFQ, we do include local authorities in the neighboring area, and no one responded. So other local municipalities, other local municipal authorities, no one responded.
oh, okay.
Actually, the closest other municipal was one of the biggest. They do very nothing in water. That's very much. I was thinking the closest.
No, their rates are.
But, I got to commend the fruitfulness of the township municipal authority now, sewer authority now, because, I mean, this is 2021 is the 10th year of the same rates, and we got 26% that we were able to add. So that is great. And one thing they didn't, I was curious about, when I asked for 2021 financial audit statements, they only gave me the sheets about the sewer and the income levels and expenses. They didn't give me the total plant and service cost of the sewer. So I was wondering what the balance sheet value is of the, how much did we put into?
you're, well, if you feel that you didn't get all the information you requested, we can certainly get you any information that you're entitled to. Thank you.
The records officer would actually respond to the records.
Next up is Parrot Davenport.
Hi, Garcia, 55 Winterberry Lane. It seems to me that we have a sewer system that can pay for itself. And there are systems in place for doing rehab to the system when necessary with grant structures from the state and federal governments. I'm in the industry. I do this kind of work. We do work on collection systems. 90% of the municipalities that I work for, it's all state or federally funded. It seems to me that you guys are looking to make a one-time sale, get a bunch of money on the backs of the, what, 50% of the people who hook up to the sewer? 48%? Not even half the township. So you're putting all that burden on less than half of the township. And the borough. Goldsboro. Does Goldsboro benefit from any of your other programs that you're going to use this money for?
No.
So they will be getting absolutely nothing out of this deal except a higher rate.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Phil Fairman. I live at 230 Juniper Drive. I've been a resident since 1981. I have a couple of just simple things to say. I'm 76 years old. I retired from the hospital in 1970. I went back to work 24 hours a week because in the last 3 years, it's suddenly become my responsibility to pay twice as much for gas, for twice as much for groceries, increase taxes, and now apparently it's become my responsibility to make sure that the investors in this water company get a return on their investment too. There's a lot of seniors in this township that are on fixed incomes that can't work. And I'm legally handicapped. I don't have that option. So what do? Wait for the township, county to take their homes when they can't pay the increased fees? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Dialing in this presentation to my personal experience was just mind-boggling. Because you mentioned budgeting, pensions, new roof, an $8 billion building, assistance for low income. I purchased my house, I think it was in '98. At that time, it had the original septic system, which was 1930s and basically non-existent. So for financing, I had to replace my septic system. I understood, I agreed. It was painful financially, but I got it. Little did I know at the time, this township was working on plans very far behind schedule for the sewer. Had the township done their job correctly at that time, the property would already have been hooked up to the sewer. I had a 2-year-old septic system, had not yet been pumped one time, not one thing wrong with it. I was forced to hook up to the sewer for another couple of grand that I did not have because I had just purchased a house and installed a septic system. Fast forward, recently I've had vehicle problems, health issues, water heater needing
shitter.
Contributing to 401k. I had to greatly reduce that contribution because of inflation, gas prices, food, unexpected expenses. The most recent unexpected expense was over $2,000 to replace a faulty sewer pump because of the design of the sewer. The way my house sits, excuse the language, shit doesn't roll uphill. I had to have a pump installed as well. But the gentleman that did the work for me said that had Gordon and Brown designed the pump for the sewer a little bit better and lowered the main lines, that the majority of pumps that were required and the problems that would come from them in the future could have been avoided. So when I'm running out of money, I work longer, I work harder. I stop contributing to my pension so I can retire. My roof needs replaced, but yet my husband and I were on the roof doing our own repairs. I don't like crawling around on my roof with blackjack and everything else. But to pay for the pump that just needed to replace, I had to take out a loan because everything else has wiped me out financially. I cannot afford more for the sewer for you guys to sell it. If you need to raise the rates to maintain it, I'm all for that. But don't stiff us more. I would like to retire at some point as well, but at this point, I don't expect to ever be able to. And your votes could potentially contribute to that.
All right, thank you. Do you want back on again at the end or not? Okay.
Yep, Scott Harvey, 205 Hemlock Lane, in the Yokotown area. Just to start with, I did write a letter, an email to every one of the supervisors. I got a response from Mr. Wintermeyer. I had no response, no acknowledgement whatsoever from the others. I just,
When did you do that?
I find it hard to believe that it was outsourced. And I find it super hard to believe, I could never in good conscience ask my neighbor on the left that pays twice, so that my neighbor on the right not have to pay an increase in their taxes. And they say that it's for the good of the whole township. Well, if it's good for the whole township, then the whole township should pitch in for those expenses, not be put on the backs of just the sewer people. It's ridiculous. I can't believe you can even contemplate that.
Right.
The other thing is, you're getting an overvaluation. You're getting a $52 million valuation on here versus a 30. They gave the 30 off. You never heard supervisors or the salesman over here say that they even considered a $30,000. They wanted it cash. Right? So it's a cash grab, and it's free money that they can take. And it's going to cost us. So our rates will go up 2 to 3 times to pay for that. So just keep that in mind. $53 million, and he's going to have to get his money back out of that. It's coming out of our backs, not the rest of your taxpayers, just our backs.
Hello, Will Toothaker, 55 Water Street, and I'm a former Newberry Township supervisor, just so everybody knows. One thing I'd like to, or a couple things I'd like to put out here tonight. Last I looked, the Newberry Township General Fund budget was about $5 million. This asset, the sewer plant, everything's worth $53 million. I don't know that there's any single, I can't imagine there's any single asset that's worth this much money in the township. So just kind of comparing this, for $53 million, you guys are making a decision on like 10 years worth of what the general fund budget would be with this decision. I think that a decision of this magnitude should be on the ballot in November.
I also wrote a letter to the board, got one acknowledgement from Mr. Wintermeyer. Thank you for that. I attended the board meeting a month ago and listened and got the handout that PFM had put together that had all the different proposals that were offered up. And it was fascinating to me because York's was so much better than their competition. They were offering way more money and charging less projected into the future for the subscribers. I thought, wow, this isn't even a competition, so it's not surprising that York is here today and the others are not. But it does draw into question, are those numbers, those projected numbers, exactly how solid are they? Because that's not a commitment. That's just simply some numbers that are thrown at us, and with the hope, of course, of appeasing the people to some degree that's possible. So it's not a commitment. It's not like, what in effect we're getting here is we're taking out a loan, or the township is taking out a loan, and it's going to be paid back by the 48% that are subscribers to this thing, plus the unfortunate ones that in the future may be forced to sign on to this thing. I know there aren't plans at the moment, but they didn't say there wouldn't be plans. It just says right now there are no plans. So someday in the future, you may be asked to sign up even if you aren't there right now. But nonetheless, a little less than 50% is footing the bill for all of this grand stuff that's proposed, I guess, in the future by the board, the wonderful things they're going to create for us all. And we're going to pay for that. This 48% is paying for that. And the interest rates are flexible. You say the PUC is going to control them. But the PUC, as one of our the previous commenters pointed out, really doesn't work for us. The PUC really works for the industry. Yeah? So we're going to take a screwing on this, and you got to wonder, why this even got any traction in the first place? As far as I know, we have 5 members here. 1 is opposed to this, and the other 4, which didn't acknowledge my letter, and didn't acknowledge Scott Harmon's letter, or probably any of them, they appear to be in favor of this stupid idea. This is absurd. We got a functioning facility that serves the residents of this township very, very well, exceedingly well, and you want to get rid of that? What's going through your heads? There must be some personal benefit that you're going to get from this to even entertain something that's so obviously stupid. Because these guys are not in it, York, to give us some favor or anything. They're here to make money. And right now we have a nonprofit that works, and they're actually entertaining this ridiculous nonsense. So I'd like you guys, you really should talk up about what your personal stake is in this thing, because somebody's getting flush out of this deal in some way or another. And incidentally, this 20,000 square foot grand palace that's been somehow pushed through, I guess, and is under construction, who in the hell wanted that in this group, right, or of the citizens here? I mean, this is ridiculous to bring on something huge that we can't afford. This is not Greenwich, Connecticut, okay? So we should be actually living appropriate to the amount of money that the citizens actually have. In other words, so stop this nonsense. This is ridiculous. Done for me.
Steve Jimmy, 140 Craigmore, Brookhaven. I had this long speech written out, but Mr. Hand stole my thunder about the capital investments. So it does sound like that we have, we have a plan that Brett has worked on to upgrade our systems, and we have a lot of money in the bank, but we haven't spent it. As a government employee, I know that's bad. You're supposed to spend every dime you get. and ask for one. But, you know, being an engineer for 35 years in planning, engineering, managing, and maintaining systems, I know that the first thing you gotta do is a comprehensive inventory and condition assessment of your entire condition every 4 to 5 years. Based on that assessment, you prioritize your replacement schedule. Some items will be, you'll have to replace based on their mean time to failure, such as a pump. Yours went out a little early. But you have to do that. They're must-pay bills. Then you budget every year for capital improvements. Mr. Hand said 1%. They only spend 1%. I don't think, based on our condition, we're going to get away with 1%. Probably going to be more. The other thing is you need to hire consulting engineers who is intimate with civil engineer that's intimate with sewer utilities in Pennsylvania specifically, because that's who we have to follow. Consult them quarterly. It's worth the money you're going to pay. And consult them quarterly on the upcoming changes in regulations and things that will impact Newberry Township. They're the experts. Based on that, then you can go back and revise your plan for your capital investments. These things have to be done. But on the opposite side, you have a company that's coming in, they're in here to make money. That's their whole deal. But as someone else stated, it's in essence a loan, because they're gonna capitalize that loan. They're gonna get that money back out of us one way or another. And the way is that they're gonna increase the rates. And why are they gonna do that? Because they can. And they're gonna go to the PUC and ask for rate increases. And it'll be justified. They'll spend money, they'll spend an appropriate amount of money to upgrade our facilities. They'll put new pumps in. They'll put backup generators at every site, because that's expected. Do they have to? Are we economizing by keeping mobile generators? We sure are. We're keeping the costs down. Does it make sense? Sure it does. Maybe some of the sites have to have installed generators based on the amount that goes in. But I am in opposition to the sale, and I definitely think that we could do the management in-house, but it is hard work and it requires a lot of hard work to do it right. But we shouldn't shirk it. Thank you.
Mr. Toomey, great comments, appreciate that. Just one clarification, I did say 1%, but that's 1% of our assets, not 1% investment. So, you know, 1% of every foot of pipe and the pumps and those things.
In order to have these big, okay?
A year ago, I sat and I listened to this board make a decision that cost this township a whole lot of money. I'm not gonna go into that today. But they made that decision that cost us a lot of money, and I hope that you are really listening tonight, because I don't think anybody here has made a comment in favor of selling the sewer. And I worked for the Commonwealth for 20 years, and I was very involved when the Commonwealth wanted to sell their assets. And I don't know how many people remember that, but the Pennsylvania Lottery, Liquor Control Board, and third-party liability, which I worked for. And we brought in $100 million a year, and they wanted to sell us. And there's only one reason they do that, and that's because of a huge windfall up front for a complete loss on the back end. And they worked really hard against that, and I fought against it for 3 years. And the Commonwealth finally came to the conclusion that selling these assets were not to their benefit. And they backed out of it. And I hope you guys are listening tonight, because you need to back out of this, and you need to back out of it soon. Because this is affecting only part of us, and 4 of you making the decision, and I know one of you is making the right decision, but 4 of you making this decision aren't even affected by this sale. Right. And that's wrong. Right? You work for us, so it shows
Exactly.
us.
Yes.
When I spoke to the sales rep from PFM, he stated that the projected numbers, if we do not sell the sewer based on 5%.
Good evening, David Parsons, 201 Eagle Drive. And I hear things about rates and increase and all this stuff. I did a spreadsheet on the four proposals. And actually, no, it used to be on a blinker here. PA American Water, it's just something that's not been told to anybody. These bids are effective June 1st to July 3rd, next week, unless they both parties want to extend.
Oh.
No, this is not said at all tonight.
Oh.
What you have to do is you have to go online. You look up the budgets and proposals. PA American Water, page 4, note number 7. In fact, page 13 would start by December 31st, 24. Page 14 of the bid. They offer H2O help to pay grants up to $500 per year. Aqua on page 8, note 7, effective June 1st to July 3rd. York Water Company, incorporated February 23rd, 1816. Note, page 8, note 7, effective June 1st to July 3rd. The mistake you made was, on page 16, you have the word monthly instead of quarterly. So instead of, for years 1 and 2, monthly, you have 596. So, no, you have to change the word to quarterly. 596 times 12 is about $7,200. So, that's a mistake. I'm surprised nobody picked up on it. You have a supervisor, you have an attorney, and also the other mistake was on page 18. Same thing. Years 1 and 2, 596 monthly. Years 3, 4, and 5, 855, 20 monthly. Years 6, 7, 8, 983 monthly. Years 9, 10, 11, 31 monthly. So if this was signed, this is a legal document. We're going to pay this monthly, not quarterly. And the paper that Mr. Scheer, sometimes I feel like talking to Mr. Scheer, he knows a lot, but he just doesn't give you information you want unless you ask the question. And his job is to sell the thing. Okay. So back to my spreadsheet. So I did it for all of these. Okay. York Water Company, bid number 1. That was my question too. What's the payback period? Because you're talking about $53 million. But there are fees involved. See, I attend most of the supervisor meetings. People know I ask questions. I don't give a hard time because they really do have, they're decent people. They really are. They mean well, but I think it's a mistake to go through with this. And you really shouldn't give a hard time. Imagine, and I'm looking at former supervisors, Grant Cook, other people, and I know what they're thinking. I'm glad I'm not sitting there tonight. Amen. You know. So anyway, it's going to be January of last year. So far it's only cost us $7,500. That's it. But there's a contingent fee of $50,000. Just no matter what bid. 1.45% of purchase price. Local and special legal counsel is $170,000. Consulting engineer $40,000. Snow utility evaluation expert $35,000. And Act 12 $20,000. So when you do the math, on a $53 million bid, net proceeds are $51,909. But more importantly for us, just want to remember, $5,996. What we do is we pay $149.90 per quarter. Next 10 years, do the math, it's just under $6,000. The first bid, $53 million from York Water Company, over same 10 years, be $11,659.
This is the $53 million bid. Assuming allocation comes out to $10,404, so it's still higher. Because you know the rates, but you know, do the actual math. York Water Company, bid 2, full cost $89.70, and also assuming allocation, same thing. PA American Water, which I think should have been here, and also Aqua should have been here. They have the worst rates, $12,232. That's PA American. Aqua, $12,908, $11,014. But then the percentages are really crazy too. For example, York Water Company, Mr. Hand sitting here. In 2026, your rate remained the same, $149.90 for 24 and 25. Then it drops, it increases 93.1% for $1150.88 per year. 3 more years later, 15%, 3 more years, another 15%. Assuming allocation, 2026 goes up 50% in 3 years. 3 years later, 30%, 31. It's very similar. If you look at York Water Company, bid 2, 43.5%. This is never told to you. You know, you gotta create your own spreadsheet because you gotta do your homework. You go online, and it's all on our website. I just copy from the website. You look at the budget, you look at the information. It's all there. Maybe not for everybody, but maybe you get help. The American Water, 143% after a couple of years. But the worst one, well, maybe not the worst one, Aqua. After 3 years, it goes 147%. Full cost service, assuming allocations, 105%. Then every single year, 2028 to 33, it goes, this every single year, 2.4 to 2.6% per year. So that's what it comes, it's crazy. And I happen to have a copy of the budget with me. And up until a couple of years ago, the township, I think one of the reasons they thought they wanted to sell the sewer authority because they only get $75,000 per year. They call that this line item 380.200, sewer reimbursement management, and $105,000. Prior to that, it was $75,000. And I think one of the supervisors said, you know what? You probably get another $30,000. So that became a calculator. Okay. So that became effective. And then this is coming from the budget. Total income, about $2.5 million, beginning balance. So total funds available at $8.5 million. This is the budget. So there is money. There is money, you know.
Dave, are you getting close? You're way over time, but you're getting close.
Sorry about that. But also I wanted to thank Brent because he's doing such good. One thing I want to ask you, Brent, is when I looked at the $900,000 plus interest of $100,000. Oh, cash flows, page 10. Principal, $900,000. Interest payment, $100,409. What's that for? The $900,000.
It's coupons.
I'm going to give it to Jane. She's the comptroller. It's about the bonds, so she knows more about the financial part of it.
Dave, there's actually 2 bonds that need to be retired, okay, that they've been paying down. So that's what they're doing. They're retiring the debt with them, paying down the debt.
And then $100,000 interest.
Yeah, that's the interest, yes, correct.
And one last thing, I'm against the sale. And thank you for your time. All right, thanks, Dave.
Thank you. John Williams, 185 Hemlock Lane. When you buy a house, that's a major commitment, as many as 30 years until it's paid for. A lot of people stay even more. This decision that you're going to make tomorrow, some of you won't be including me, maybe on this earth, and people will still be, I guess, reaping the benefit or consequence of your decision. We have $7 million accrued from the sewer, $600,000 a year coming in. Board members, can you take a look at it's slide 14 on the color handouts? You don't have it.
That's great.
Maxine, the chart on the very bottom, what's the projected rate for sewer wages for residents in 2023? And what is it in 2033? Okay, and that's a lot different than what's been discussed. And I get it, we're eliminating a risk. We're throwing out something that has been profitable for many, many years. And for me and everybody in this room, if you make a bad decision and vote yes tomorrow, you better have a plan that looks at this number as well as the rate of inflation. Because right now, there's absolutely no reason. And again, if you want to cover some other expenses, I get it. Do not put the burden on our shoulders. You give us a 30-year, and I don't care if we pay the township and you're just going to have to stay involved. We pay the 149 and the 149, 151, and the township foots the difference. Doesn't matter. But to me, there's no other way. If you vote yes and you don't address this, I can't believe that PFM didn't say, hey, at this meeting, you ought to be talking to your taxpayers that are hooked up to sewer about how we're going to level this. Not, oh, here's what it'll be. That just blows my mind. And if you don't address that in a 30-year plan, I view that as stealing from me and everyone in this room that's hooked up to sewer.
Hi, Carlene Fry, I live at 1925 York Haven Road. I'm actually going to start off by reading from the Public Utility Commission website. In the case of utilities owned and operated by municipalities, city, borough, or township, the Public Utility Commission does not have jurisdiction unless a municipality is serving customers who reside outside of its corporate boundaries. The Commission maintains jurisdiction over the rates and service to these outside customers. So what I'm understanding from that, and that's directly from their website, is that the PUC cannot tell you guys what to charge us as long as we maintain control over our sewer. They can only tell York Water Company what to charge us if we sell. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly? Okay, so that sounds good to me. Let's not sell. Okay. I'm also here representing my parents who couldn't be here tonight. They own a rental property in the township. They currently have a tenant and in the past have had tenants who live on a fixed income. They intentionally keep their rental rates very low, like way below market value, but they maintain a really nice property so that they can keep these tenants who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford a place to live, right? If you come through, if you sell this sewage, this is ridiculous. They're gonna lose these tenants. Like, where are these people gonna go, okay? This is stupid. And frankly, that's on you guys. That's not on my parents. This breaks my parents' heart that they are facing the possibility of having to turn these people away. Okay, also, when there are this many people, and it's sad that it's thinned out this much, but when there are this many people who show up, who you, Mr. Harkins, rightly acknowledged at the start of the meeting that you know the majority are opposed to this, then why are you not at least putting this to a referendum vote? And I'm not the first person who's brought this up. So why are you not at least putting it to a referendum vote? I posit that it's because you know that it would not pass. It has waited this long. It can wait a few more months. Also, last point, you can stop this process right now at no fault. If you proceed against the will of the people that you work for, I sincerely hope that these people that you supposedly represent come together to bring a class action lawsuit to stop this process.
Sorry. I stand today as a resident here to address the proposed sale of the profitable sewer authority. I believe it is our duty to do that, voice our opposition, to bring your attention to the potential consequences of such a decision. First and foremost, I would like to emphasize the importance of fiscal responsibility, which has so far been proven not to be done. It is your responsibility to ensure that taxpayer funds are managed wisely and efficiently. I understand there have been self-imposed financial challenges, such as overspending on the Newberry Township Police Department building, but selling our sewer authority should not be the solution to cover these expenses in an effort not to raise taxes to make yourself look good for elections. Because this is really an indirect tax on the people that are paying for the sewers, that are on the sewer. While it may seem tempting to avoid immediate tax increases, we must consider the long-term implications of the sale. By relinquishing control of our sewer authority to a private company, we surrender our ability to influence rates and policies that directly impact the residents of Newberry Township. You must ask yourselves, is it worth trading short-term relief for long-term financial hardships for our community, especially one that we will have no say in the future? At least if our taxes are raised, we have the right and duty to ensure people are elected to address those issues. And I'm sure after tonight, we're going to make sure of that at the next election. Furthermore, I want to express my concerns about the lack of long-term planning in this decision. Our sewer system is a vital utility that affects a lot of residents. It is not a decision to be taken lightly. As far as far-reaching consequences for generations to come, we must carefully consider alternative solutions and engage in comprehensive planning to address our financial challenges without compromising our community's well-being. I implore you, as our elected representatives, to take these concerns into serious consideration. As supervisors, you have been entrusted with the responsibility to make decisions that benefit the community as a whole, not just in the short term, but in the long term as well. I urge you to carefully examine the potential rate increases and their impact on the hardworking families in Newberry Township and neighboring communities the sewer authority serves. I think about the residents who are already struggling to make ends meet and the burden that significant increase in sewer bills will place on them, especially those on fixed incomes. A potential increase of 3 times the amount we're currently paying will hurt families and potentially push people out of the township to look for more affordable solutions, thus reducing our tax base, which can cause further budget issues and probably more taxes. I don't know about anybody else, but $1,000 more is going to cause me to think about my kids and what activities they're going to be doing. Instead, I may have to pick up another job and say, you either can do it, or I'm going to be forced to miss your events because I'm going to be working to make sure that I'm paying for the sewer. One last thing. I urge you not to sell the sewer authority. Let's come together to engage in meaningful, transparent discussions and find a solution that's in the best interest for our community. Thanks for your attention, and I trust that you will take our concerns and the tremendous show of support for not selling the sewer authority and not selling the people that you serve out.
I'm at the end of the list. Did I miss anyone that was signed up?
I don't have much to say. A lot has already been said, and I thank you guys for hearing us out. And I hope you are actually hearing us, and this isn't just going in one ear and out the other, because it really means a lot to us. This living right now is very, very expensive. It costs me $150 a week for diapers and formula for a baby, and I want to have more of those, you know? And it's hard, because the feasibility of that with more added money going on, that is hard to fathom. So, I did have a question, and this may have just been hearsay, but something to do with the well water being metered? Am I wrong in this? Does that tie into the septic system at all?
Well, I think I can answer that. So, that comment was, all these rates are based on a flat rate, so you don't know how much water you use. That comment was if you feel you're not using a lot of water, you would have the ability to request a meter, so you would pay a less rate for the actual usage of the water. Right?
It's based off of 4,000 gallons.
Yeah, it's based off 4,000 gallons, so if you felt you would use less than 4,000 gallons a quarter, based on a month, then you could request to have a meter installed and pay on a reduced rate.
Is somebody gonna come, like, try to come through and meter my?
No one's gonna make you put a meter on. That's something you request if you feel.
Why would I request that though? There you go.
If you felt, so those rates are based on the usage of 4,000 gallons a month per household. So if you feel you're only using 1,000 gallons a month and you feel you could save money and only pay for 1,000 gallons a month versus the 4,000 that the rates are based on, you can request a meter. You would pay a lesser rate. You have to pay for the meter yourself, I think. So
a flat rate is going to be varied by my well water?
a flat rate isn't very
But it can get lessened if I get a meter on my well, and say that I'm using less than what I'm actually using.
if you are actually using less than 4,000 gallons.
More, you're gonna get charged for monthly bills.
Yeah, that's true.
So is everyone going to pay the same rate, or is it going to be based off of your water meter bill?
We don't have water meters.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is everyone going to pay a flat rate, or is it going to be based? Is your sewer bill going to be based off of your water bill?
It's a flat rate just like it is now. That's correct, right?
That's ridiculous. So, I guess, a lot of things that when you have an asset, as a person or as an employer, when you have an asset, do you just sell it off to the highest bidder, or do you invest in that asset so that it can make you more money? And so that it can benefit you and your community? I mean, what other asset do you have in this community that's bigger than this? So why not, excuse me, I'm a little confused. Why not invest in your community and the economic growth of what we already have? Why not build off of the system that we already have?
Because we want money.
Me personally speaking, I'm not speaking for anyone else. Please let me finish my statement. I felt that this was in the best interest of the community. I am hearing everything everyone's saying, but that's my honest answer to you.
And it doesn't affect you.
You guys are sitting before us because we elected you to look out for our best interests as a community. Do you understand why we feel a little betrayed and confused?
I understand everyone's frustration. I don't.
Just please take it into consideration when you're taking there are other avenues. This is not the only way. So why are all of our eggs in just this one basket?
Only because I found out I won't be able to attend the meeting tomorrow night. So I guess, my name is Tina McDade, I live in Shelley's Riverview, 453 Shelley's Lane. So, are we trying to sell the sewer system to pay for this police station? Yes.
No, that was not the basis of this. That's not how this is going.
Okay, so I'm going to elaborate on that again, because I won't be able to make it tomorrow night. First, I thought the police station was supposed to be around 3 million. Then it went up to 5 million.
It was supposed to be
Now
done
it's
already.
8 million?
Wasn't it supposed to be done
So why
last
do we
year?
not have these damn ass warehouses pay taxes, give money to the township, but you taking it from us?
No one wants more warehouses.
We got two.
But we still keep
They have
getting
to be here
them.
somehow.
Y'all guys keep approving the zoning.
So why can we not get millions out of them and that police station would already be paid for?
I can't answer that. I wasn't here when the warehouses.
There's 4 other people sitting there that could.
Maxine's here.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
My name is on the paper.
All right, come on.
So, my name is Steve Witter, 165 Wilson Road. I'm going to go from left to right. I'm sorry I didn't catch this gentleman's name here, but candidly, I don't trust you. The more you spoke, the less I trust you. Because every time you were given a simple yes and no answer, you would start, BSing around me, all right? And this gentleman as well, given an answer, yes, if, no, if, maybe, it's not in, no. I like concrete things, and, maybe it's because I do in court of law that you like yes and no's and, defined answers. Now I want to appeal to the actual township supervisors. Each of you, I remember distinctly when I went to vote, approached me and my wife asking for your support, telling me how much you want to change things for the good and how you want to represent us. I'm not going to elaborate. Everyone else has covered everything else, so I'm just going to focus on that. You approached us. You wanted our vote. You wanted me to put my confidence in you. You wanted me to put my trust in you. Okay? Somebody even attend churches for a while and did for a while so that you could sort of, buddy up with people in churches. Wow. I remember that quite clearly. Wow. So, here's the bottom line. For the record, I oppose this strongly. It makes no logical sense, and it doesn't add up. And under scrutiny, I don't think you can make the case for it. He's going to make it because he's making good money. And anybody that knows anything about accounting and numbers can fix the books, can run the books, and make it look like what they want to. Ask any good accountant that's worth their salt, you can slant it and make it look like whatever you want. All right? So at minimum, if you truly care about the people who you ask on those voting days to vote for you, and you care about your neighbors and friends here, okay, that you say you care about, at minimum, postpone this, board it for a while, investigate it more. The world will not stop tomorrow if you vote no and postpone this, okay? I will say this, I have a sneaking feeling that if this goes through, this will be a pivotal moment in the history of Newberry Township. And you 5 happen to be the ones on the supervisory board. And each of you came to my wife and I and asked us for your vote. I am what they call a super voter. I won't forget. I've been in the township since 1978. Okay? So, I think you've heard the voices tonight. Don't give a sound